On this day in history, October 3rd.
Emperor Constantius II falls gravely ill while in Mopsuestia, Cilicia. On November 3, 361, while on his deathbed, he received baptism and makes a crucial decision for the empire. In his final moments, he declares his cousin Julian as the rightful successor to the imperial throne.
The mighty river Arno unleashes its fury upon Florence on November 3, 1333. The flooding causes unprecedented destruction throughout the city, leaving a trail of devastation. This catastrophic event is meticulously documented by the renowned Florentine chronicler Giovanni Villani.
The city of Liege faces its darkest day as Charles I of Burgundy's forces descend upon it on November 3, 1468. The troops show no mercy as they systematically sack the city. The event marks a significant demonstration of Burgundian military might.
A historic moment unfolds as representatives gather to sign the Peace of Attacles on November 3, 1492. The treaty establishes peace between Henry VII of England and Charles VIII of France. This diplomatic achievement helps stabilize relations between the two kingdoms.
Christopher Columbus's ships pierce through the Caribbean mist on another historic voyage. His keen eyes spot an unknown island on the horizon on November 3, 1493. This island would come to be known as Dominica, adding another significant discovery to his explorations.
The English Parliament convenes on November 3, 1534, for a decision that will reshape religious authority in England. The first Act of Supremacy is passed, fundamentally altering the religious landscape of the nation. This historic act establishes King Henry VIII as the supreme head of the Anglican Church, effectively breaking from papal authority.
The Continental Army, which had fought valiantly for American independence, faces its final day on November 3, 1783. The dissolution marks the end of an era in American military history. The disbanding represents the transition from revolution to nationhood.
Napoleon's seemingly invincible forces engage in battle at Vyazma on November 3, 1812. The French armies, already struggling with their Russian campaign, face a decisive defeat. This battle becomes another crucial turning point in Napoleon's ill-fated Russian invasion.
A new chapter in Canadian banking history begins in Montreal on November 3, 1817. The Bank of Montreal opens its doors as the country's first chartered bank. The institution would go on to play a pivotal role in Canada's financial development.
A new publication emerges in India on November 3, 1838, that would become a journalistic giant. The Bombay Times and Journal of Commerce publishes its first edition. This newspaper would eventually evolve into the Times of India, becoming the world's largest circulated English-language daily broadsheet. Giuseppe Garibaldi leads his loyal followers in a bold attempt to end papal temporal power on November 3, 1867. The Battle of Mentana proved disastrous for Garibaldi's forces, resulting in their defeat. Though unsuccessful, their goal would be achieved 3 years later.
History is made as John Willis Menard wins election to the United States Congress from Louisiana. As the first African American elected to Congress on November 3, 1868, his victory represents a significant milestone in American political history. Unfortunately, due to an electoral challenge, he would never take a seat in Congress.
The indigenous Mapuche people of Chile begin their uprising on November 3, 1881. The resistance movement marks a significant challenge to Chilean authority. This uprising represents one of the final major conflicts between the Mapuche and the Chilean state.
A new competitor enters the automotive market to challenge Ford's dominance. Chevrolet officially launches its first automobile on November 3, 1911. The company positions itself as a direct competitor to the popular Ford Model T.
Kiel's port becomes the epicenter of revolutionary activity in Germany on November 3, 1918. 40,000 sailors take control of the strategic harbor. This action marks the beginning of the German Revolution of 1918-19.
American forces engage Japanese troops on November 3, 1942, in the Coley Point action. The battle becomes another crucial engagement in the broader Guadalcanal campaign. The fighting would continue until November 12th.
The U.S. 8th Air Force launches a massive aerial assault on German territory on November 3, 1943. 500 aircraft participate in the coordinated attack on Wilhelmshaven Harbor. The raid results in devastating damage to the crucial German port facility.
Military forces clash on November 3, 1949, in what becomes known as the Battle of Dingbu Island. The conflict represents another chapter in regional military tensions. The battle's outcome affects local power dynamics.
The Soviet Union achieves another milestone in the space race with the launch of Sputnik 2 November 3, 1957. The spacecraft carries a special passenger, a dog named Laika. This mission marks the first time a living animal is sent into orbit around Earth.
A significant victory for environmental conservation is achieved through congressional action on November 3, 1960. The Great Swamp National Wildlife Refuge is established after an intense legal battle. Local residents successfully prevent the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey from converting the area into a major airport.
The United Nations welcomes its first non-European Secretary General. VIII receives unanimous approval for the position on November 3, 1961. His appointment marks a significant shift in UN leadership.
Lyndon B. Johnson secures a historic victory in the U.S. presidential election on November 3, 1964. Johnson wins an overwhelming majority, capturing 61% of the vote and 44 states. The election is also notable for Washington, D.C. residents casting their first ever presidential ballots.
American and North Vietnamese forces begin engagement on November 3, 1967 in the Battle of Dak II. The conflict becomes one of the significant battles of the Vietnam War. The engagement tests both sides' military capabilities.
NASA launches an ambitious mission to explore Mercury on November 3, 1973. The Mariner 10 spacecraft begins its journey toward the innermost planet. The probe would make history several months later as the first spacecraft to reach Mercury.
The Lebanese magazine Ash-Shira breaks a story on November 3, 1986 that would become the Iran-Contra scandal. The publication reveals secret U.S. arms sales to Iran. The weapons were reportedly traded for the release of American hostages in Lebanon.
A significant moment in Pacific Island history occurs on November 3, 1986, with new legislation. The Compact of Free Association becomes law. This act grants independence to the Federated States of Micronesia and the Marshall Islands from U.S. administration.
New York City's skyline is forever changed as One World Trade Center officially opens on November 3, 2014. The building stands as a powerful symbol of resilience and renewal. This new structure takes the place of the Twin Towers that were destroyed during the September 11th attacks. And that concludes our historical journey for today.
If you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and subscribe to join us for more fascinating stories from the past.
Leave a comment below with what historical event you'd like to see next.
Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in our next historical adventure.